Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games.
Of course.
Thanks for joining us for today's Path of Exile livestream. We have a packed show today, with announcements for Path of Exile 2, as well as the exclusive unveiling of Path of Exile Affliction, which launches on December 8th on PC and Mac, and on December 13th on console. Twitch drops are enabled on today's livestream, so make sure you follow the instructions below in order to claim your Huntsman wings. We'll start with Path of Exile 2, where Jonathan will walk you through our latest announcements. Mark will then take you on a deep dive into the new Path of Exile Affliction Challenge League, which launches in 1 week. He'll cover the league mechanics, its rewards, some new content we're adding to the core Path of Exile experience, and some large metagame changes.
Maybe
I'll
melee
then show you our
changes?
annual core supporter packs, and we'll head into our live Q&A session where Ziggy D will ask us your questions from Twitch chat. After the livestream, we'll drop the full patch notes. I'd like to hand over to Jonathan Rogers, Game Director of Path of Exile 2.
Hey guys, it's been a few months since we introduced you to the Druid in Path of Exile 2, but one of the things that we're really focusing on now is how varied each of the classes feels to play. The Monk darts around quickly from enemy to enemy, building and unleashing combos. If he doesn't stay in combat, he loses momentum and has to build it up again. The Warrior, on the other hand, is like a slow but unstoppable freight train. A Warrior commits to big attacks and relies on stunning his enemies to stay safe in the thick of combat. When an opening presents itself, a Warrior can use even larger attacks to demolish his enemies.
That's what I like, that's satisfying.
The Huntress seamlessly moves from melee to ranged combat and back. The true damage potential of the Huntress is only unlocked when you learn to combine ranged and melee abilities together.
Ah! Not my thing. No.
And then there are the Spellcasters. The Sorceress is a pure caster who much prefers to stay at range and drop powerful spells on her foes. If she finds herself surrounded by enemies, she would rather use an ability to escape than to take them on directly. The Druid is also a spellcaster, but unlike the Sorceress, he uses his spells as a means to support his melee abilities. And by melee abilities, we mean he can turn into a giant animal and rip his enemies to pieces. Each of these classes feels extremely different to play, but we want to go even further. It's time to check out the Mercenary.
The Mercenary?
There's not a job out there I won't take.
I guess crossbows.
So long as the pay's good and a crossbow can solve it.
There's good impact on it. Woo.
I'll take them all down, one bolt at a time.
When thinking about each new class, we really try to think about how we can make combat feel different from all the others. For the Mercenary, that difference is the crossbow. A crossbow is fundamentally different than a regular bow because it fires instantly instead of needing to be drawn back. This means that you need immediate feedback. Clicking the fire button should make the character shoot instantly, just like in a shooter. As soon as we experienced that, we realized that there are a lot of design lessons to learn from shooters, and so we fully embraced them. In Path of Exile 2, we have crossbows that work like sniper rifles, shotguns, and assault rifles. But in order to really get shooter-like gameplay, we wanted to go further. In Path of Exile 2, we now support WASD movement.
What?
You can now walk around in any direction independent of aiming.
Okay, that's fine.
In
That's
fact,
awesome.
If this is your preferred method of gameplay, you can use it on any class, regardless of what weapon type you're using. You can change between click to move or WASD at any time.
Yeah, that's really fucking good. Took only 10
You can only
years.
hold 2 crossbows at a time, but Path of Exile 2 is all about interesting combinations of abilities, and this is where ammo skills come in. This is a burst shot crossbow, and right now I have armor-piercing ammo equipped, which makes it very effective when facing a group of enemies, since it pierces right through them.
Bloody horrors!
But there are other ammos too. For a bigger single target, it might be a good idea to switch to Incendiary. The more projectiles hit the target, the stronger the ignite, so you'll want to get up nice, close and personal with this one. If you have a bunch of targets running at you, you might want to slow them down. In this case, you could switch to Permafrost Burst Shot. Shooting a bunch of smaller enemies at range will chill them, and potentially even freeze them in place. Once you have some frozen enemies though, you can switch back to Armor Piercing. Shooting a frozen enemy with Armor Piercing Burst Shot will explode the ice, doing a huge amount of damage to all nearby enemies. Another feature crossbows have is attachments. This is a grenade launcher. As you can see, when I equip it, it appears on the underside of the crossbow. These attachments are just like skill gems, so you effectively get extra skill slots, and you can augment these with support gems, just like regular skills.
Fire in the hole!
These grenades take a while to explode, so it's a good idea to pair them with some kind of crowd control, like Permafrost Burst Shot.
Will all classes be able to use crossbows though? Yeah, good question. Yeah, I don't really know if this class test will matter.
We have other grenades too though. This
More in
attachment
this
is a
compared to
flash
first?
grenade. It does barely any damage, but it does a huge amount of stun. It can be a great opener before you run into combat.
Yeah.
Surprise!
Now, here's another attachment, an oil grenade. Firing one of these grenades coats the ground and nearby enemies in oil. Oil slows enemies down, so it's another useful crowd control mechanic.
Use fire on it. My blood's boiling.
Now, another thing that oil can do is be set on fire. Any burning enemy or explosion will ignite the oil, causing extra burning damage.
Let me ask
One
you
of the
something.
problems with burst shot crossbows is that each pellet doesn't do much damage individually. This means that if enemies have armor, then it will be very effective preventing that damage. But thankfully, you can equip an additional crossbow in your second weapon set to deal with the weaknesses of your primary weapon. This is a rapid shot crossbow. Rapid shot is great for closing on enemies because you can shoot while running. In Path of Exile 2, we now have the ability to allow you to use some skills while moving. Being able to create skills like this opens up a lot of new design space and allows us to really increase the pace of combat.
Yeah, it looks slower paced than first Path of Exile, but that's because like when you look at like Path of Exile 1 gameplay, like
version
endgame
of rapid
stuff.
shot slowly erodes a monster's armor. Once the armor is fully broken, you can easily switch back to burst shot to deal much more damage.
I do hope Path of Exile 2 is slower than Path of Exile 1.
Being able to run while shooting with rapid shot is also great for when you want to perform a fighting retreat.
Reload!
I mean, it definitely looks here, but this is not an endgame, I imagine, so.
Using permafrost ammo with rapid shot is also useful if you need to retreat. When you shoot the ground, it creates ice crystals. If you draw monsters back over these crystals, they explode, chilling the monsters. It's great if you want to set up a safe zone before pulling the next pack.
Nice gore.
Slowing enemies down can come in handy if you want to use the incendiary version of rapid shot. Using this skill requires that you charge up a little bit before it fires, but as it continues to heat up, it will do more and more damage. It has a really large clip size, so you can just keep firing and firing with it. But the other really useful feature is that when the crossbow is heated up, it adds extra fire damage to any grenade that you launch.
Takes forever for the grenades to blow, though.
Now, I've been using explosive grenades here, but it will work equally as well with flash or oil grenades too. If you use it with oil grenades, the oil will catch fire immediately.
Yeah, you could probably use gems and stuff. Change it.
Another crossbow type that you can find is Power Shot. This one works just like a classic sniper rifle. Use it with armor-piercing ammo and it will penetrate armor on targets, so it's a good idea to use when something's really tough.
Back down or die!
Why do people keep saying like 0 DPS builds or Quinn builds?
Now this skill has another interesting
Does
interaction
Quinn
with
not
armor
make
break.
high damage
If
builds?
an enemy has its armor broken, then your Power Shot hits a weak spot and does a huge amount of single target damage, with a bunch of extra stun for good measure.
I've never watched him, no.
Now, the incendiary version of Power Shot is more like a rocket launcher. It does a big explosive blast at a distance. One of the really useful features of this version is that you can explode any grenades that happen to be on the ground.
Ah, okay, yeah.
This combo also works really well with Incendiary Rapid Shot. I'm going to charge up the heat on my crossbow, shoot out a bunch of grenades, and then start the fireworks with a Power Shot.
Okay, nice.
The ice version of Power Shot creates frost walls at a distance. This is great for crowd controlling monsters in tight passages. The wall segments have other uses too. If they get destroyed by monsters, then they will explode, doing a small amount of damage.
Block him in!
Now, remember that burst shot combo with frozen enemies we did earlier? That works with ice walls too. Let's put burst shot back on. Now I can fill up this area with ice walls, then shoot them with armor-piercing burst shot for a huge amount of damage. Alright, it's time to face the boss for this area. Let's see how we fare against her with all the skills I've shown you so far.
Alright. Ursia, de matron.
Stay still, the mother! No.
Ugh. What the fuck? Did she just give birth and then...
Rapid fire!
This game is unhinged. Yeah, I gave birth to the unwanted, yeah. He's almost dead.
What is going on in this godforsaken city?
And that's the Mercenary. It feels totally different than anything we've made before, and shows
Show
you the range
warrior.
of what's possible in Path of Exile 2.
More warrior. What please?
We're going to be showing off a lot more about Path of Exile 2 as we approach its beta, but in the meantime, we've got a Path of Exile 1 expansion coming out next week. I'm going to hand over to Mark, also known as Neon, to show you what's in store for PoE 1.
Thanks, Jonathan. Well, let's just go ahead and get straight on into it. Here's the trailer for Path of Exile Affliction.
Alright, how is this then?
Something moves in the mists. Something sinister. Thorn. Rot. Plague. And claw. The affliction spreads. It hungers for more.
Like a horror expansion.
Tread lightly in the wildwood, which shifts and bites. Accept our help, the ancient power of the Azmiri. Beware the spirits that yearn for freedom.
Just another skill
the
tree.
Heart of evil
Why not?
that waits in the dark.
Ready yourself.
Ah, well, that's what people wanted, wasn't
I
it?
will be waiting.
Oh yeah, people are super hype about that. Return of Ultimatum, huh?
In the Affliction League, you will encounter sacred wisps, which beckon you to enter overgrown passageways that lead to the Viridian Wildwood. A vile affliction has covered this forest with a foreboding darkness. You'll need to uncover the forest mysteries to put a stop to the source of the affliction. As you approach the darkness, the wisps burn away its affliction. Make sure you tread carefully, because they only have a limited amount of power. But be warned, the darkness is full of cursed monsters that emerge to kill you.
Ooh, what is this build he's playing?
As you
What was
explore,
that?
you might see other types of wisps trapped inside the darkness. The Wildwood is trying to guide you towards clues about its affliction. Follow the trails of wisps by collecting them, and you may uncover many different secrets. New characters to find, shrines, boss battles, and all kinds of new encounters are lurking in the forest just waiting for you to discover them. There are many rewards to earn for those brave enough to seek them. When the sacred wisps run out of energy, they will return you back to where you came from. Any other types of wisps you have collected will return with you to Rayclast. These wisps, having been saved from the affliction, disperse into the environment and inhabit randomly chosen monsters in the area, increasing their power and also their rewards. The different types of wisps have different effects on monsters, and sometimes more than one type will inhabit a single monster, making the fight even harder and even more rewarding. If this happens to a boss, you could be in for a tough fight, but if you can overcome it, your efforts will not be in vain. Primal wisps grant an item rarity bonus to inhabited monsters. Wild wisps grant an item quantity bonus, and vivid wisps cause them to drop currency items. If a monster gets all three types, they'll drop more items of a higher rarity and a lot of currency. While exploring the Wildwood, you might find some of the last few Azmiri wanderers who have managed to survive in the forest since it was cursed. Each of them have different survival specializations, and they are willing to teach you if you agree to help them defeat the source of the affliction, the King in the Mists. Choose which of the Azmiri that you will complete quests for to unlock one of 3 new Ascendancy classes, which you can have in addition to your regular Ascendancy class. Up to 8 points for these classes are unlocked as you complete more quests for the Azmiri you are training under. The Warden of Eves can teach you to become a Warden of the Magi, a powerful class that takes advantage of wilderness knowledge. A Warden of the Magi can learn to use tinctures which coat their weapon, granting various powerful effects. You can equip tinctures in your flask slots and toggle them on and off at will. You can only have one enabled at a time, but the effects are quite conditional, so you may want to have more than one equipped and swap between them during combat. For example, equip the Ironwood Tincture to gain the benefit of always stunning enemies on full life. Tinctures can also get random mods. This one in particular adds stacks of wither to targets on full life and steals frenzy charges on hit, which makes it great as an initiator. When you are fighting rare monsters or finishing off tough bosses, you will want to swap to the Oak Branch Tincture, which grants Culling Strike, increased damage against enemies on low life, and has a chance to steal a mod from rare enemies you kill. You can buy more tinctures from the Warden of Eves using Primal Wisps when you find her in the forest, so keep an eye out for her. As a Warden of the Magi gains more Ascendancy points, they gain access to more skills that let them further specialize in tinctures. For example, Nature's Concoction allows you to invest in having your tinctures enhance your flasks. This Ascendancy skill makes it important to think about which slots your tinctures are placed in, and what flasks they are adjacent to. You will have better uptime on those flasks and they'll be stronger as a result. But there are plenty more skills to choose even if you don't want to engage with tinctures. For example, another new ability to unlock is Barkskin. It's a reservation skill that causes bark to grow all over your body, increasing armor. As you take damage, the bark falls off, increasing your evasion. Over time, the bark will grow back, removing the evasion bonus but increasing your armor again. The Breaker of Oaths can teach you to become a Warlock of the Mists.
That's why I follow a guide.
An Ascendancy class specializing in the darker arts of the Izmeri. One powerful ability you can choose is Blood Hunt, which grants an active skill called Ravenous. This skill lets you see what type a monster is under its life bar, whether it is a demon, beast, undead, construct, or humanoid. Consuming a corpse with this skill gives a buff to damage against that type of monster, and reduces damage taken by it. You can only have one type active at a time, so it's a good idea to choose wisely for the area that you are in. Some bosses like the Maven are eldritch in nature and don't conform to the regular corpses that you have access to. But don't worry. The Breaker of Oaths has a shop where you can trade wild wisps for corpses that you can place on the ground wherever you are. Buy an Eldritch Corpse and you will be able to get the bonus while fighting Eldritch entities like the Maven. You may notice that most of the corpses he sells are not monsters you normally encounter.
Perfect.
You might want to try turning some of these corpses into specters, to take advantage of some of the unique abilities that these monsters have.
Oh my god.
The Warlock of the Mists gets access to many other abilities. For example, there is a trio of curses that you can pick from. One of these curses targets your minions, giving them life degen and making them explode for massive damage when they are near death. One of them prevents enemies from dealing damage for the latter portion of its duration, which is quite powerful against bosses. This curse creates the interesting build decision of whether or not you should increase curse duration or reduce it. The final curse is a mark that causes enemy phantasms to be spawned when you hit the marked enemy. These phantasms aren't on your side, so they work well with on-hit and on-kill trigger effects, for example. The Primal Huntress can teach you to become a Wildwood Primalist. Unlike the other new ascendancies, the Primal Huntress lets you customize your tree. You do this with charms that you can buy from the Primal Huntress for Vivid Wisps. Charms have randomly generated mods which give stats from regular Ascendancy classes, allowing you to create your own hybrid Ascendancy class. Charms are magic items that are aligned with different attributes. So for example, this Ursine charm is strength aligned and has gotten the melee hits have a chance to fortify stat from the champion, and the ability to stop your movement speed going below base from the Juggernaut. This interline Corvine charm lets you get the stat that makes your consecrated ground effects linger from the Inquisitor, and the effect that makes cursed enemies explode from the Occultist. Some of the combination of mods that you might find for sale on charms can be extremely powerful, so keep a lookout for the Primal Huntress's shop even if you are not playing as a Primalist. As a Primalist, you also get access to a few other interesting abilities. Use war cries next to corpses and they have a chance to drop an extra item.
What?
It opens nearby chests too. The Primalist also gets access to a small extra backpack, just in case you find yourself needing to cart more items to town during your map runs. If you are unhappy with the class you picked, or you just happen to find a really great item for another one of the classes, you are able to change which class you are using next time you find one of the Asmeri Wanderers.
Okay.
Just remember that you will have to do their quests in order to gain the ascendancy points for that class. These quests will lead you towards the ultimate goal of the Asmeri: finding the King in the Mists, defeating him, and cleansing the forest of its affliction once and for all. There are new uniques to find, rewards to claim, and new ascendancy classes to master in the Affliction League. Now that we've covered what's in the League, let's talk about some of the changes you can expect to the core game in 3.23.
Melee!
For a start, Ultimatum is finally going core.
Right.
When talking to players at ExileCon, it was the #1 feature that people requested. When playing through in-game maps, you may sometimes encounter the Trial Master, who offers you a choice to undertake a deadly Val trial in exchange for great rewards. If you defeat the trial, he offers to go double or nothing with you.
Oh,
do you
okay.
take the risk and go for an even better reward? Or do you take the winnings you have already earned off the table and go home? We've done a full rebalance of Ultimatum and have added many new mods and rewards, including
It's a big
both
gamba,
new
dude.
and reworked uniques. The base number of rounds for an Ultimatum trial is now always 10, with a chance to spawn the Trial Master boss fight on the 10th round, if you are able to make it that far. As part of 3.23, we have also removed Metamorph from the game. All the Catalyst rewards from Metamorph have now been moved to be rewards for Ultimatum. We have also added a new Val-themed Catalyst that works on corrupted items. As is normal for most content that gets added to endgame, we have introduced new Ultimatum passive skills to the Atlas tree. One great example is the Keystone Grueling Gauntlet. It makes Ultimatums last 3 extra rounds, but you cannot choose the modifiers, and it prevents the final Trial Master boss fight from spawning. The level of challenge becomes extreme during the last 3 rounds, and not being able to choose the modifiers makes it even harder. But the rewards are insane, and for those with very high-end characters, it might be a bet worth making. There are lots of other Atlas passive skills you can pick from for Ultimatum, so choose wisely. Now, it's time to talk about one of the largest metagame changes we've ever made. There were 3 systems in Path of Exile that were all trying to subtly modify the behavior of skills. These were alternate quality gems, Labyrinth Helmet enchants, and unique threshold jewels. We've combined all of these together to create a new system called Transfigured Gems that allows us to fully achieve the goal of these 3 systems and then some. Transfigured Gems are alternative versions of existing skill gems that have different functionality and balance from their regular versions. We have added a huge number of these with interesting variations that drastically change how existing skills play. For example, Frostbomb of Instability. It changes it from a cooldown skill that you can cast occasionally for a large explosion into a skill that you can cast continuously but deals less damage and doesn't apply cold exposure. It changes the role of Frostbomb from a utility skill into a main damaging skill. Another example is Detonate Dead of Scavenging. You can't use it on corpses that were created by Desecrate or Unearth, but in exchange it does a whole lot more damage. You won't be able to use it as your main reliable source of damage, but it's a great skill to use as a 4-link utility to get some extreme burst damage. Raise Zombie of Falling. Instead of raising a zombie from a corpse, you summon them from mid-air. They fall to their death, dealing AoE damage where they land. While this sounds like a physical damage version of Firestorm, you should consider that it scales with minion damage and also triggers on-death minion effects.
What the fuck?
Blight of Contagion. This version of Blight is now spread by Contagion, so you can use it as part of your Essence Drain build. We have a huge number of these. Transfigure Firestorm into Firestorm of Meteors, Transfigure Blade Trap into Blade Trap of Greatswords, Transfigure Barrage into Barrage of Volley Fire, and so on. There is a lot to experiment with, and we look forward to seeing what builds you can come up with. But how do you get Transfigured Gems? The Divine Font at the end of the Eternal Labyrinth has been changed to a gem crafting device that can modify your skill and support gems in a lot of new ways. One of the options you can now choose is to turn a skill gem into one of 3 Transfigured Gems. But that isn't all the Divine Font can do. It has a lot of other gem crafting options you can use. For example, you can add quality to gems, add experience to gems, sacrifice a gem for 1 or more treasure keys to open Azaros chests, and you can even exchange support gems for exceptional support gems like Empower or Enlighten. These are just some of the options you'll find the Divine Font is now capable of. In order to replace the rewards in Heist that previously gave alternate quality gems, we have done a rebalance of the rewards of Heist as well. Experimented base types have been rebalanced, new replica uniques have been added and old ones changed, and we have increased the amount of currency from display cases as well. On top of this, we have gone through and buffed the quality stats on most damage dealing skills. In most cases, they will be significantly more powerful than before, and also more interesting. Overall, this is one of the largest metagame shifts that we've ever done. There are so many crazy new skill combinations to plan around, so we expect to see some really interesting new builds. Next up, I'd like to hand back over to Chris to talk about the new supporter packs.
At this point, we'd usually talk about the League supporter packs. We're doing things a bit differently this year. Rather than releasing League supporter packs today and then our annual core packs 2 weeks later, we've combined it all together into a strong set of core supporter packs that will be released alongside Path of Exile Affliction next week. The series contains 5 packs, each with its full value in points and a collection of exclusive cosmetic microtransactions. The higher packs contain physical merchandise. We'll unveil the full details of each of the packs at release next week, but in the meantime, here's a sneak peek of some of their exclusive cosmetic microtransactions. These packs will be available for purchase when Path of Exile Affliction launches on the 8th of December. Thank you so much for your ongoing support.
Whoa!
We're just about to start the Q&A with Ziggy D. Afterwards, we'll post Path of Exile Affliction's full patch notes. With the release at the end of next week, our community team will be posting crucial information you'll need for Affliction's release. Keep an eye on the news. On release weekend, we expect to launch the new mystery box and this season's Kyrix Vault Pass. Thanks for joining us today and checking out our latest developments. We're looking forward to exploring the Viridian Wildwood with you next week. We'll begin the Q&A shortly, so please get your questions ready.
Okay. This expansion seems like it's going to be very good. I mean, I don't have many hours in this game, but people seem insanely hyped for this. And chat told me they want an ultimatum back, so... Yeah. Yeah, just adding ultimatum is mega hype, yeah. I need to figure out a build I want to do, but I can't make my own. It's just going to be death. Is ultimatum like endgame, or can you do it at any points? It's endgame, okay. Hey, Memetix. That was not my Discord, by the way. That was on their stream.
G'day, ZD here, folks. Exiles, welcome for a giant jam-packed Q&A after a huge reveal session. We have here today Chris, Jonathan, and Mark. 3 for the price of 1 this time around.
That's their Discord, not me. I don't even have it open.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Excellent, folks. We're going to be moving through things in rough order that we saw things today during the reveal. So starting with Path of Exile 2 and then moving through some of the new Path of Exile 1 features. So get those questions in through Twitch chat and we'll sprinkle those in through each of those various sections. So first, let's talk about that new movement scheme that was revealed with the new mercenary class. So we have the new WASD movement. And does this alternate control scheme work with other classes and builds, or is it mainly intended for like this shooter mercenary style?
So when we put it
I'm not
I
gonna
was
listen to the entire thing,
thinking
but
that it
I
was gonna
think
be
I don't think the
something
drops
you
have
wanna use
happened
with
yet.
Ranged characters way more, but actually, when I tried out some melee stuff, I was pretty sold on it. Actually, it was better than I was expecting. There's still a few tweaks to do to make that perfect internally, but like yeah, it's pretty awesome. So I think I'm probably I think I'm going to be playing that way myself, actually, even though I was a bit of a skeptic at first of WASD for melee. I think it is good, but we want to make sure that everyone understands
It's like
that
10
you
more
can change
minutes
from one to the other whenever you want. It's just one of those things that, you know, yeah, like some people may prefer it, some people may not, but yeah, I'm really
do a build
enjoying
where you only
WASD,
take chat's advice
rather
every time you get a
feels pretty
skill
good to me.
point and see what you end up with.
Surprised, to be honest. Like I've, die-hard action RPG, Diablo 2 era kind of guy myself, but for some reason the WASD stuff just feels really natural to play.
I don't
guess
know,
it's in the
man.
Background in Crimson Land and that kind of thing.
Yeah. That first moment you use it, it's a little bit jarring because W is now not a skill, but once you can get beyond that, it is like very, very fun to play.
It is actually funny going I went loaded up the PoE1 client again recently, and like I was immediately pressing WSD like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know?
keep doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also keep trying to dodge roll as well.
Yeah, so yeah.
I had that same problem. I was going to ask then, can WASD movement be added to Path of Exile 1, or is it
I'd love to get some
exclusively a
links in
PoE2
Discord,
feature?
yeah, for playstyles.
It's probably going to be pretty hard to add it to PoE 1, and the reason would be because the number of animations you need to support like arbitrary directional movement like that is really high, and the rigs in PoE 1 are so old that it would be really difficult to add.
hardcore.
So I think it's
I
probably
could
like quite unlikely.
try it.
And just in general, the animation stuff that we're doing in PoE 2, like it's just a different level. So it was like okay, I'm not going to say easy, but it was easier to add it in PoE 2 than it would have been in PoE 1 by far. So yeah, for now I'd say it's going to be PoE 2 only.
How have you found hotkey usage and things like that while moving around with WSD movement?
So basically, one thing it does do is like, so it's definitely a thing. But what personally what I found is that so you've effectively got the left click freed up. You know, to put a skill on. So you've kind of got like sort of, you can have like sort of 3 major skills on mouse, and then having other stuff on the keyboard. And it works pretty well for me because the stuff that I put on the keyboard at least tends to be the sort of more rarely used stuff.
Are there any good step-by-step build guides for PoE? There's a ton of them, yeah.
And so it wasn't too
very
bad.
thought
I
out
found it
builds.
okay. It is a concern for sure. Like I suspect that like there might be a few builds that would be a bit harder to do that way, but you can always use the other control scheme if you want. But it's working really well for what we were doing there.
And how well does this translate to controllers then? You would think it'd be perfect for twin sticks.
It is. So we have also
Get the academia,
so
Angelic.
the right stick you can use to aim which direction that you're going in on controller, and it does work well there. There's like a bunch of other controller stuff that we've kind of been fiddling around with trying to get that better.
Yeah, outer tag. I mean,
yeah,
I guess for story it'd be fine, but
as well. Plus, it just kind of makes movement like there's
maps
actually
would
stuff
be
even with
ass.
click to move that we can use. Like we can utilize the fact that we've got the ability for the character to face a different way than they're walking. That actually makes there's some cases where we can make.
I need to look at like ability cosmetics.
So there's a little, it's kind of minor stuff, but like, you know, the animation does look actually better for click to move too due to that.
And what sort of skills can you use while moving? That was mentioned that some will be kind of like functional in that way.
Yeah, so we're still like going through and thinking exactly what I want to do there. But
Oh,
the
he
basic
does
thing
Panic
is
Rush.
that,
Okay, that's good.
You definitely want to have, I think, for
Bone
each
Shatter?
build, a few skills that you can use.
Can I log
in that
into
way,
one of
because it
my
does make
old
combat feel
characters
faster
and
when
check
you
what
can
the
kind of be
skills
doing
look
stuff
like?
on the way to the next
I
monster.
can
this
do
kind of
that,
thing. It
right?
just kind of improves it in a way that once we tried it, we were just like, wow, that's actually.
Hold up. I actually want to see this because I'm kind of curious. Oh shit, I don't think I have it installed though. I don't. Not too big though.
There's like movement locked out in skills as well. So like only like right near the contact point do you actually have to stop. And then for other skills, we can do them completely while you're moving. So you know,
Sunder
like
is quite
some
fun
of
and has an MTX called
skills that you might
Gore
wanna spam
Sunder.
in some cases, things like that, it can be okay. So I'm not going to like give you
Okay,
a
I
list
see
or
what
anything, but
Sunder
yeah,
is.
we definitely want to have making sure that each build has skills that you can do while moving available, so that you can kind of utilize the time when moving between packs.
Don't mess with the ad. Oh, my ad is over.
Skills that incorporate
I'm literally
more
only here so we
movement
can get the
or
draw.
even play with the lack of
should be
movement,
still
like
music
planting your feet.
What was
What's that, sorry?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I think Discord kind of lagged out for a second there.
Oh, okay. But yeah, the other thing as well is that is another question people have asked is like how does it work when
I'm installing
you
it right
are
now.
using click to move? And the answer is honestly pretty simple. Like you click where you want to
Free
move,
vault,
and then
yeah.
you move the mouse and use the skill in the other direction.
It's all about
and
the
then
cool
your character will just
MTX,
not be
dude.
interrupted the
That's
move.
how
They'll
you
just keep
choose your
moving while
ability.
you know, shoot in the other direction. And
Nemesis whispered
that,
me
that does
something.
work. Like
I'm
it is
scared of
technically
clicking
like
it.
I mean, you know, it takes a bit more mouse movement to be able to do it if you want to be able to move while you're doing it, but it does work. So there's no technical disadvantage there other than just, I mean, effectively what you're doing is it's like what the same.
Oh wait, this is the MTX? Right? And this is the MTX right here. Okay. He attacks so damn fast, dude. That's old Sunder? Okay. I mean, you choose based on the cool MTX ability, dude. I gotta sit off stream and see what I want. I don't really know. I like having big two-hander, though. It's satisfying, dude. Video upload date? Oh. Oh. Ranged? No, but I don't want to play ranged, man. I want to bonk. That's why I'm logging in now. Sunder from 1 year ago.
Uber content on this character, I would go ahead and take Mage Bane, which converts a lot of my percent evasion into suppress. That would cap suppress. Maybe I'd get some other defenses as well, like a bit of extra regen. But that I didn't think was too important, and overall character's still very nice defensively. Doesn't really need suppress for most normal content. So I didn't go ahead and do that, and just mapped around and had fun and tested myself against.
Yeah, Pendulum, thanks, man. Entero, Big Mike, Lord Drake, and Hooded Souls, Plexandy, Bellicus, Pasta Dude. Thank you so much, guys. Mescator, Burning Olive, Bavarian, give Boach a sub. Thanks, man. Stevie, Baby Naloni, Top Squirrel. I fail 1 months. Holy. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have this card for those PoE nerds. Oh, yeah, true. I do. I forgot about that. I do, yeah. I should do that. Ah, damn it. Check Bone Shatter Slayer. How do I check that? I'm just going to click some outdated stuff. Bone Shatter or Bone Zone is a very good melee skill that's fun to play. Okay, you know what? PoE, Bone Shatter. How about that? 3 months ago, Bone Shatter Juggernaut.
When it comes to melee on League Start, you've pretty much only got one safe option at this point.
Wait, so this is like, it looks like he's bonking, and then it hits everyone around too.
And that build is Bone Shatter. This build has almost everything that you could want. Excellent clear, excellent movement speed, it's extremely tanky, has lots of recovery built into it, has a very straightforward gearing path. The only difficult, I would say, item to obtain can be the weapon if you are apprehensive about crafting.
Okay.
And the only real downside to this build is the fact that its single target damage lacks a little bit.
So if you were to do that, what do you level with? Like, what do you level as? Can you level with Bone Shatter in the beginning? Sunder. Oh, you start Sunder. Okay. Sunder until Bone Shatter. Okay. Yeah, that's decent. Bone Shatter's level 24. Okay. All right, just level with Sunder then. Okay, I'm gonna do that on the 8th then. Average Quinn 0 DPS build. Woo! Okay, I mean, yeah.
Quinn, even though you keep telling yourself that we are trying to bait you by saying Crip knew what was going to kill you, we are being completely serious. Stay in your lane, whippersnapper.
Yeah. Fucking hell. He's playing Bone Shatter, by the way. Yeah. Did we get the drop yet? When did we get the drops?
Things like that we had to fix in order to make the mercenary work in the engine was just ridiculous. Like, I found so many bugs. I mean, these are all going to be fixed, by the way, in PoE 1 as well, because the engine is shared.
2 minutes?
Like,
okay.
I found out that
oh yeah, it's 13 minutes
like,
past. Yeah, 2 minutes should be dropped
before they arrive at the destination, and they appear 1 frame late after they leave your character as well. And that it turns out all objects when they're created appear 33 milliseconds late from when they actually render. And like there was stuff with trail. I mean, like it was just actually like, because like when you're dealing with something like this, like if you've got like a bullet effectively traveling ultra fast, it had to happen instantly as soon as you click, and like all these things, there was like so many engine things where it's like we're speeding all this shit up, and like the engines just started breaking all over the place. So yeah, there was a lot of technical improvements that had to happen in order to make that stuff work. Not to even mention the whole like WSD and all the animation system stuff, and yeah, like it was pretty crazy.
1 more minute.
So I'm really glad to remove a lot of jank that existed that we hadn't noticed before because things weren't fast enough to see the problems.
Path of Exile on PS5,
you know,
by the way?
There was a lot of like frame by framing it and like making sure that every single frame is perfect and all that sort of stuff going on. And yeah, it was pretty crazy during the development of this stuff.
It is. Is it shared accounts?
That pans out in terms of improvements.
Sure.
So on the crossbows, I noticed that they have the new like skill bound to the weapon thing where
It's
they fire
not,
differently.
okay.
So you have your shotgun crossbow and you have your semi-automatic crossbow or whatever. Are we mostly going to be modifying those primary skills, or are there going to be other primary?
Did you get drop? Wait, where do you claim the drop?
Or just kind of more ammo types that modify the base skills.
So there's definitely going to be more ammo types. There will be other skills, but what we did to sort of solve, as it were,
inventory.
The crossbow, like
how do you
crossbow
check your
skills
inventory? I don't even know how to do
the
that.
Primary firing type was to have the attachments, and so those basically are.
Oh, thank you. I see you there, Chicardoza.
Where you'd equip a quiver instead.
Thank you.
But they have support gems and everything like that.
Oh,
and
I'm on 97%.
Like a crossbow skill, as it were, that is related to one of those primary firing types. Then that'll be where that can go. And so there's way more than what we even showed there. Like we just showed like some grenades, but there's all sorts of other quirky types that have been come up with that you can attach to your crossbow. Like I know someone made like a bayonet at one point. I'm not sure how we're going to use that, but
I bet it's like
I don't know if that will actually be useful, but we'll see.
On console, service and leagues are separate.
We've got a model for it. We'll see if we'll experiment with it. But there's those. But I mean, there's also other things, of course. Like
I'm still at 97.
Here. Like there's still the what do you call them? The oh god, the crossbows that pop up when you summon the totems.
Give it!
Ballista totems. There's still ballista totems and other things like that, and like various other skills. So there's definitely other skills that we expect this class to use. But we kind of ran out of like time to be able to show like all the different things that you can do. And we'll show more of those later. But yeah, there's going to be other stuff you can fill your skill slots with for sure as well. So don't worry about that.
So are some bow skills going to become crossbow skills? Is there going to be shared across the two?
There are certainly some concepts that we might. I mean, look, when we're designing the classes, we
Refresh?
kind of we do look at PoE1 and be like, is there anything here that we want to crib from, to kind of to use? And there might have been a couple of things that we've like sort of used as concepts, but overall, it's supposed to feel, you know, like this is distinct. And I'm sure maybe there'll be a time where like this is better suited as a crossbow skill than a.
All right,
bow
easy.
skill.
Okay, what do we do now? I'm actually gonna look at some. Okay, what did Nims